Interesting.
And he does a lot of, he's actually a bond guy. He works for Collier, so they rent a lot of bonds for schools, let's say, so. Like, he's done all of the, so like, Wolf Creek, down Pine Ridge, that old complex down there, he got all the funding and financing in place for that.
There's a new school, right?
Yeah, he puts all that kind of stuff together. But he knows a lot about these TIFs.
Okay.
And he's probably the best guy in the state around it.
Really?
So if you need something like that, let me know. I can hook you up with him.
Great.
Yeah, he's super knowledgeable.
So yeah, we're here for that development, Country Road.
Yeah.
Initial zone for Case-Off Road to be in the city center. So for said city residents, the office commercial, and then a couple of uses as well. Okay. Kind of get the start and the first phase.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Rapid City Planning Commission meeting for January 23rd, 2024. If any member of the audience wishes to speak to an item on the Planning Commission agenda today, there are speaker request forms on the table along the left wall. Please fill out the request with the agenda number of the item you wish to speak to and hand it to the staff seated on the left over there. At this time, we would also like to ask that if any member of the audience has a cell phone or other electronic device, they either turn it off or turn the ringer to silent. If you need to take a call, please step out to the hallway so the meeting is not disrupted. Items 1 through 6 have been placed on the consent calendar today and may be approved as a group. Action will be taken on all consent items in accordance with staff's recommendation by a single vote. Any item may be removed from the consent calendar by any planning commissioner, staff member, or audience member for separate consideration at this time. The findings of this planning commission are recommendations to the city council. The city council will make the final decision with the exception of the following item. Item 5, 24UR030. The Rapid City Planning Commission action on this item is final unless any party appeals that decision to the Rapid City Council. All appeals must be submitted in writing to the Department of Community Development by close of business on the 7th full calendar day following action by the Planning Commission. Are there any items 1 through 6 that staff would like removed for separate consideration?
Item 6, please.
Okay. Any items 1 through 5 that the Planning Commission would like removed then for separate consideration? And any other items that the audience would like removed for separate consideration? The chair would then entertain a motion to approve items 1 through 5 in accordance with the staff's recommendations. All right, Mike Kwasny made that motion. Eric Heikus seconded the motion. Any discussion on that motion to approve? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item number 6.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Item number 6 is an amendment to the NN TIF request that was previously approved by the city. We inadvertently placed this on consent. Mike Dugan, our TIF planner, is here and will be making a presentation today to assist you with your decision.
Good morning, Mike Dugan with Finance. This morning, I want to briefly discuss an amendment to the project plan over a recently approved TID number 92 in housing development. What this change will be is changing the classification from affordable housing to local. I want to briefly just give a little history of the TID in the upcoming slides and then get into what changing the classification to local looks like. So to your far left, along Homestead, just above the Homestead Street there, is the TID boundary for this district. Major street plan, as you can see the boundaries right there in the middle of the map. Reservoir Road, principal arterial, runs straight through the middle of this district. And then the dotted blue on the north part of the boundary is the future East Anamosa extension. So what this TID was set up for originally was to extend Reservoir Road right through the middle, north to the future East Anamosa intersection there. And then above to the north, the green area, shaded area there, a section of the future East Anamosa would be graded. And what that would open up in the green section there was the future NN subdivision, which is 156 single-family homes. 84 of those homes are scaled-down homes with a listing price of upwards of $220,000. And then the remaining 72 homes would be under the first-time home buyer's purchase price set by the state, which is currently $385,000. So the reason for the classification change is the west part of the pink section there, the west part of the side of Reservoir Road. There's going to be 55 additional homes that are not developer controlled, built within the TID boundary. These homes are now going to have a sales price of approaching $500,000. So with that anything that's within the boundary has to be under that first-time home buyer's purchase price set by the state at $385,000, even if it's not developer controlled. So with that would change this classification from affordable housing to local. So with that does come a cost to residents of the school district that a upcoming slide will show. That when it's affordable housing, it's made up the difference, because the school district always has to be made whole with this. So instead of the state making up the difference of what the school district was moving out with these or losing out on in the property taxes, the residents within the school district have to make up that difference. So these are the TID funded costs. The project costs were a little over $3.6 million, financing costs of $4.4 million. The total eligible project costs that were approved were a little over $7.8 million. So the amortization on this has this paying off in 2039, which is a 15-year amortization. The easy solution to fixing this affordable housing classification change would be to change the TID boundary to remove those 55 homes that are taking it out of the first-time home buyer's purchase price. Those homes are needed within the boundary to help the increment to have this pay off within the 20-year allotment. So what does that mean, the impact on the school district residents? So there is an impact. So it's difficult. I've had conversations with the state, and it's difficult to calculate what that impact will be. The general and special ed funds have to be made whole. The school district cannot lose out on the property taxes. So what that means, with the calculations for 2024, it's estimated to be 81 cents per 100,000 of value of owner occupied, and then $1.52 per $100,000 of value for commercial and industrial. And as the increment increases, the local tax impact will also increase. So 2039 or 2031, that's going to be kind of at the peak of the rise in values. It's going to go, straight up for the next several years as construction is ongoing. 2031, construction is complete. It's kind of peaking, and it'll be a little more level out increment. So it's estimated to be about $3.25 per $100,000 of value for owner occupied. So with that, I will stand for any questions. And this is just the calculation on how this is figured per the state.
Thanks, Mike.
Yep.
Do you have a couple questions, it looks like? Or Vicki, did you have something to add?
Just something to add. Mike, could you go to the graphic that shows the layout there? So when we originally brought this TIF to you, in working with the developer, we requested that since they were requesting a TIF, if they would also include that part of Reservoir Road that extends down to Homestead Street. Years past, when the development occurred on the west side of Reservoir Road in this area, an exception was granted by City Council to waive the requirement that section of Reservoir Road be constructed with that project. And we noted concerns with that because then it was going to be put on the taxpayers to come back later and make that street improvement. Obviously, that connection is needed. And so this TIF originally and with this amendment continues to capture that construction of that street section and includes that expense as a TIF eligible expense. So we are in support of the TIF, knowing that in the long run, this is going to save the city quite a bit of money.
Thanks, Vicki. Haven?
Thank you. That was a very good presentation. It really explained several things. One question on the tax information that you gave, the increase in owner-occupied and commercial, is that for Rapid City or Pennington County?
That is Rapid City.
That would only, it wouldn't affect county properties, only properties in the city then?
Correct.
And I'm guessing I missed it, but what is the reason given by the developer for this application to take these lots out of the affordable?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Good morning, everyone. Andrew Skull, NN Development LLC. Thanks for the question, Haven. It's a good one. So if you go back to our original application, we call for 156 affordable housing units. That's still what we're providing today. We expanded the TIF district to include the extra 45 lots to the west. Simply, Haven, it's an oversight on our part. When we created that district, we always intended to have 156 affordable housing units. We did not realize that the whole TIF district also had to have that affordable limit, so the other 45 lots to the west. So it's simply an oversight on our part once it became clarified through our previous process, so now we're correcting that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Mr. Chair,
Vicki?
it really just goes to classification. Based on the classification of the TIF, the taxes collected and the increment is accrued somewhat differently. An affordable housing TIF has one process, a local TIF has another. So since this is combined in housing diversity and dollar amounts, then the local TIF fits better for this project to go forward.
I'm going to chime in with a couple of questions just on that school part of the taxes. Haven had a good question on city versus county on who carries that. My understanding it's actually the school district boundary that carries that additional cost, not necessarily the city. I mean, I guess I don't know if those line up. I know there are people outside the city limits that go to the Rapid City schools, though.
Yeah.
So I wondered if there was some county area inside the area carrying that increment.
It's my understanding that it's the Rapid City residents within that school district.
Okay. And then I always like to ask, I shouldn't say it, I don't always ask. I like a reminder on so if this were if maintained as an affordable housing TIF, where does the school district get their funds from? Because they're still in the same boat where they don't lose that. Does that come from the state then?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, there's no impact, no additional impact.
Well, I mean, we just,
Right, correct,
we,
but it's,
as South Dakota residents, we just pay a smaller
Right,
bit
correct.
along with the rest of the state. Okay. Any other questions, comments on this amendment? Okay. Mike Gallagher made the motion to approve amendment number 1 for the project plan for tax increment district number 92. And Kelly seconded that motion. Any discussion on the motion to approve? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item number 7.
Good morning, Chair, Planning Commission, Cassie Hayes, current planning. Item number 7 before you is 24 PD 028. This is a major amendment to a plan development overlay to allow on-sale liquor in conjunction with a hotel and a conference space. So this is the property located at the corner of St. Joe and 5th Street, currently known as the Block 5 project. Most of you are probably familiar with it. What they're developing here is a multi-use building. This does consist of a hotel, apartment units, some retail space, a conference space, and a parking garage. So with this major amendment, what they are wanting to do is provide a full-service bar for the hotel restaurant, which is going to be known as the Placery. They are going to serve a selection of beer, wine, and cocktails in conjunction with the hotel restaurant, and then they're also going to offer that full-service bar for events that are happening in the conference space as well. The full-service bar will be operated only during the hours that the hotel restaurant operates, which will be Monday through Friday from 6:30 to 9 a.m. and then Saturday and Sunday from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. for their breakfast service, and then they are open Monday through Sunday from 3 to 11 p.m. for dinner service. So this property is located in the Central Business District. Future land use of this is public or quasi-public. And this does front St. Joseph Street and 5th Street, which are both principal arterial streets on the city's major street plan. I do want to point out that this area in red, as you can see, the area on the left, that is the restaurant space. The area on the right in red is the conference space. And then this little green area down in here, this is where they will store the alcohol. That is a locked storage area, and this alcohol will only be served by trained staff. Even in the conference space, there will be trained staff that will serve that as well. With this being in the downtown area, a few things that we look at for on-sale liquor establishments is the proximity of residential uses and districts. We also look at proximity to playgrounds, schools, churches, those type of things. With this being in the downtown district, there are obviously residential uses above some of those commercial places in the downtown area. There are also at least 3 religious assembly facilities within this area, no schools, parks, or playgrounds. But since this is operated in conjunction with the restaurant and conference space, all within the enclosed building, it should have minimal impact. The Central Business District is also identified as the appropriate place for uses like this because of its proximity and location to the downtown area. So with that, staff is recommending approval of this major amendment. You can see that Block 5 is starting to look like this right now, which is the exterior elevation. This is looking at it from 5th Street. You can see the parking garage to the back there. Here's what it looks like today. So it's getting pretty close. This is looking at it from the corner of 6th Street. This is looking at where that restaurant hotel space would be. A little bit more of the main entrance. And this is looking at the conference space side of it, which is closer to 5th Street. And there's looking at that parking structure and the conference space. They have posted their proper signage as well, so staff is recommending approval of the major amendment with the stipulations outlined in the staff report, and I will stand for questions.
Thank you. Just a note on this item, Mike Kwasny is abstaining from it. All right, Eric Hikas.
Chair. Cassie, could you go over the hours of operation again? I think you might have said AM and you meant PM, but I wasn't sure.
So they're open for a breakfast service and a dinner service. So
Okay.
breakfast service is Monday through Friday from 6:30 a.m. to 9 a.m. and then Saturday and Sunday from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m.
Okay.
And then their dinner service is all week from 3 p.m. to 11 p.m.
Okay. Thank you. Move approval.
All right. Eric Hikas made the motion to approve item number 7. Is there a second to that? Second. Mike Gallagher seconded that. Haven? Discussion on the motion or comments?
Yes, thank you. You mentioned the hours of operation, but our approval of this license isn't fixed, or the hours aren't fixed based from our approval of this license, are they?
Let me grab that.
Okay.
Mr. Chair,
Yeah.
so Planning Commission doesn't approve the license. We're just approving a conditional use permit to determine if the location and the operational plan are appropriate at this location. Once this is approved, then they will submit an application to the city council to secure the actual license. And that's where the background check of the operators comes into play to ensure that they are eligible to secure the license. So the hours of operation, the days, and you'll note in Cassie's stipulations, you're approving it to be operated in compliance with their operational plan.
Yeah, thank you. And I just was going to make another note that's along those lines too, as far as the approval of the license. It would be specific to an area. This is maybe not unusual, building, but there's a lot of other uses in this building in addition to the bar and restaurant and the hotel. So I'm assuming that when the license is issued, there will be a very specific location in which they can serve the alcohol.
Mr. Chair,
Vicki?
what you're approving today actually locks down the location within the structure. And so
would
that
be
is
the
why Cassie.
Highlighted area
Yeah,
on the
Cassie,
floor.
there you go. So what you approved today will show where it needs to be stored, as well as the conference room and the restaurant area of where the alcohol can be sold. So actually, Planning Commission is making that determination.
Yeah, thank you for that explanation. And what floor are we looking at in this this photo, or
You're looking at the ground floor.
the ground floor?
Mhm.
Okay, so that along with Vicky's comments, then that the license would be limited to that ground floor as shown on this diagram.
The conditional use permit would limit the location as well as the operational plan. The license goes to the entity requesting it at this location, but it doesn't address the square footage of use. You may recall that there are many instances where we bring you major amendments to conditional use permits to expand the footprint of the on-sale liquor use. Sometimes they create a patio and they want to go outside, or if it's in a strip mall, they acquired the suite next door and they want to expand their building. And we bring those to you because that footprint of what gets approved is where they are restricted to operate. Anything beyond that requires that the Planning Commission review and approve the additional area for that use. They do not have to go back and secure a new license.
Okay, yeah, thank you for that explanation. I think that kind of helps or at least my understanding of what we are approving today and what other requirements will be on the property owner as far as the license is concerned.
All right, I had kind of a question along those lines, so I'm just jumping the line here, Eric, but this is just all the stuff stuck in my head from years ago when we saw this first. I thought there were outdoor areas being discussed at the time for a restaurant space along the sidewalk, that sort of thing. I see the areas defined as indoor at this point, and I just wanted to clarify that.
If they should come in the future and want to do a sidewalk cafe, that is administratively reviewed by staff, and pursuant to state law, if you have a license at that site, it automatically expands into the right-of-way. They don't have to come back and do an amendment to the CUP or secure an additional license.
Okay.
I tried to convince them to do a rooftop element, but didn't quite get that done.
All right, Eric?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just to clear this up, friendly amendment to my motion to approve to include staff stipulations and other clarifications discussed. Thank you.
Good call. Mike, work on second. All right, motion maker and second included stipulations as listed. Any further discussion on this motion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Sorry, I lost my voice there. So the motion carries with Mike Kwasny abstaining. Item number 8.
All right, item number 8 before you is 24 UR 027. This is also a conditional use permit to allow on-sale liquor in conjunction with a restaurant. This one, staff did a field inspection earlier this week and actually noticed that the sign was not posted on this property as required to meet public notification requirements. So this one does have to be continued in order for the applicant to post the sign in the window within visible distance of the right-of-way for the required 7 days prior to the Planning Commission meeting. So staff is recommending that this one be continued to the February 6th Planning Commission meeting so that public notification requirements can be met.
All right, Haven made the motion as he stated. Mike Kwasny seconded the motion to continue. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item number 9.
Item number 9 before you, this is 24 UR 028. This is a conditional use permit request to allow an oversized garage with an indoor gym. This is a property located off of Ranchester Street on the south side of town. This property is zoned low density residential district 1. Future land use of this property is low density neighborhood. And it takes access off of Ranchester Street and does front Stumer Street for a portion of it as well, which are both classified as local streets per the Infrastructure Design Criteria Manual. What they are proposing to do here is they are proposing to construct a single-family dwelling on this property that does include a 7-stall attached garage, a storage area on the back side of the garage, and also an indoor gym. With the size of those, it will exceed the footprint of the actual dwelling portion of the house. So they are required to come get this conditional use permit for an oversized garage. As I mentioned, both the garage and the indoor gym will be attached to this house. The garage itself will have a total of 7 garage doors. You can see them here in this picture, right along here. The storage area will have 1 single stall garage door, and then the indoor gym does have 1 exterior access door. What they are proposing the oversized garage for is for storage of vehicles as usual, also to be used for storage of a boat, a camper, a lawnmower, UTV, ATV, those types of storage. And the indoor gym is going to be for personal use as well. The applicant has stated that they are an active family, and the indoor gym will allow them to remain active during the winter months. So this is looking at the main floor plan. You can see up here in the top left-hand corner, this is that storage area. And here's some elevations of what this house will look like. One of the requirements for an oversized garage is that it be built with the same construction materials and the same siding, color, all of those types of things as the primary residence. Since it is attached to the single-family dwelling, all of those stipulations will be met. You can see here the front shows the garage doors. The back here, this is the gym area, and this down here, this is that storage area with that single stall garage door. This is kind of a black and white rendering of the elevations as well. So staff did find that this does comply with the requirements for an oversized garage with it being attached to the residence. I do also want to note that this is a parcel that is over 10 acres in size, and they are proposing to put this single family dwelling with the oversized garage and the indoor gym towards the middle of this property, so it'll be over 200 feet from all property lines. So the natural topography and mature trees that are on there, in addition to the distance from all of the property lines, will help shield and provide some visual impact reduction to the right-of-ways and to the adjacent property owners. So staff does find that this does seem to be in compliance with the oversized garage requirements, with it being recessed back in there. So this is looking at this property from Ranchester Street. You can see their public notification requirement was met right here. This is where their driveway will come up. I do want to point out that at least the first 50 feet of their driveway will have to be paved per code. This is looking down Stumer Street, or Stumer Road, excuse me. And this is looking down Ranchester Street as well. There are multiple properties in this area that do have attached garages with multiple stalls. None of them to the extent of this property, but none of the other properties around there also have the acreage that this property has to be able to build a garage and an indoor gym of this size. So staff is recommending approval of this conditional use permit request with the stipulations noted in the staff report, and I'll stand for any questions.
Thank you. This is more of a general question. We don't get a lot of indoor gyms, so I don't know the answer. If you took the garage out of this, would we be seeing a discussion on the size of the gym, or is that an allowed use as far as building a house?
Oh, you. We had this discussion at staff too, because within a single-family residence or a residential lot, you can have accessory uses. I mean, how many of us have a workout room in our homes, right?
Right.
Maybe we've converted a bedroom or a family room into a workout room. In this case, in order to ensure that when we look at 1750, which identifies all the accessory uses, it doesn't identify a gym. It does have things like a swim pool house, greenhouse, but it doesn't say a gym. But it is attached to the residence, so it is just an expansion of the residential use. We put the number in there just to make clear in case anyone should challenge it. We wanted to make sure that the action taken by Planning Commission recognized that the indoor gym is a part of that extension of that garage, even though it is attached to the home, and cover it through the oversized garage.
All right. Thank you.
That's a good question. We struggled with it as well.
Well, we don't see a lot of these.
No.
Haven?
I just wanted to note, I think there's some circumstances here that would lead to approval of the application. I just want to note that as far as precedent setting, there are certainly some circumstances here that we don't see in most lots. And I would just note that any action, if we would approve this, certainly isn't setting a precedent on others where we do have to look at those characteristics of the lots.
Thanks, Haven. I think that's a nice thing to add to the discussion. Any other comments on this item or questions?
Motion to approve stipulations.
All right. Mike Gallagher made the motion to approve item 9 with the stipulations listed. Is there a second to that? Kelly seconded that motion. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. That's the end of the agenda today. As far as items to approve, anything from staff?
No official items other than hope everyone stayed warm and safe Monday. Good news is I hear that we are supposed to be 50 this coming Monday, so South Dakota weather, gotta love it.
I've got one that I just wanted to, I see Mike's still here. Legal and Finance, I guess, heard some initial thoughts on a TIF policy rewrite this week, and I'm just making my pitch for a couple things. When we've been looking at TIFs recently, we've seen affordable housing ones like the one this morning. And the definitions on the purchase side are pretty clear. They're taken from South Dakota Housing. I feel less so on the ones that are rental. I noticed in the proposed rewrite that there's a requirement for rent rates to say affordable for 10 years. I guess I'd like to see something more on defining, truly what the rent levels are. And then it seems 10 years seems short if we're giving them 20 years of tax benefit. I mean, at the very least, I'd like to see those line up. And again, this is all just personal stuff. Council can do with it what they please. Staff can do with it what they please. And then past that, on the rental side and the affordable housing side, after the TIF is paid off, I think this is more an issue on the apartment side, but I'd like to see some sort of assurance that they'll stay on the tax rolls, because apartments can be put into nonprofit status. And then we've added economic development TIFs. I think that was a state law change somewhere since the last TIF rewrite, but I don't think Rapid City really has guidelines on what we should do for economic development TIFs and what we shouldn't, or what we're trying to do with them. And so having some guidelines for us as Planning Commission, I think, would be helpful on those.
Mr. Chair, all your comments are great. It's been a while ago that some of you requested a working session with Planning Commission. TIFs are now under the authority of the Finance Department, and so Director Ainsley's desire is to ensure that council is aligning with some of these TIF policy changes, which we did get an affirmative vote at council Tuesday to bring forward those changes. Our goal is, with that acknowledgement, to do a sit-down working session with Planning Commission. We'd probably do it maybe 90 minutes over a lunch, have you come in, do a roundtable discussion, get you off the dais so we're all sitting at level ground. And then I think it just really opens up that free-flow conversation and allows us to ask the questions that we don't necessarily want to ask when we know we're on camera. Just to truly own what is a TIF, how does it function, how are we protecting the community, and where's the benefit to the community as a whole. So stay tuned, that is coming.
Wonderful. Eric Hikas?
I'll add to the discussion a little too. I think having some metrics for all of us in the community to know, like in the past 10 years, that what the average household income has grown to, and the fact that we are no longer this, money scarce community that cannot afford anything. For the longest time, economic development was tied to that mean household income of, 50,000 or whatever it was. Those days are long in the rear view mirror now, and I think it's time that our community starts acting like, we have some wealth and we have some tax base, and we have the ability to do some things now. We're not the scarcity mindset that I think we're clinging on to. That's just my politics, but having the metric to support that, I think, would help us all in these decisions to be able to really define what is affordable here and what is, I know Elevate has some really good resources there, but I think the more we can share those kind of resources so that everybody's on the same page, I think will be helpful. So I'm frankly fatigued about making decisions based on the fact that the underlying tone is that we don't have any money, right? So I think that's changing. So I'd like to see us be more aware of that as a community.
I like making jokes at the county's expense, so I'm going to add this. After getting my most recent property tax numbers for the coming year, there is money going somewhere. Anyway, anything else from the commission? Oh, yeah, Chip.
We've been fielding a lot of calls in our office with the wildfires happening in California. And I just want to reassure you guys that we are looking at a lot of things to educate the public on how to wildland mitigate around their properties and things like that. You'll see a lot of stuff coming out of our office. And I just want the public to know that we're on it, and we do have a good program right now. Going to try to expand it a little bit, but like I say, our program is known around the country of what we do in Rapid City and the surrounding areas on wildland mitigation. So I just wanted to say that several of those wildland fires that happened around here this last year, we'd mitigated quite a few of those areas. So we were able to stop the fire pretty much. So I mean, it helped. It helped with the firefighters. I mean, they do a great job. A shout out to all the volunteer fire departments in the state and the federal firefighters, that we all have such a great team and we work together on these incidents to try to keep them a small incident. But I just want to make note that quite a few of those fires were mitigated areas around it, or the area was, so the fire was able to stay on the ground, and it was a tool used in the firefighting that helped them stay on it. So I just want to let you know that. Thank you.
Thanks, Chip. Mike Kwasny.
With that said, I would like to thank the fire department for all that they do to make that happen, because I think it does solve a lot of problems down the road, the way they handle your business. So thank you for that.
Mr. Chair,
Yeah, Vicky.
while we're sitting here talking, we are hosting an open house on Tuesday at the Doll to discuss vacation homes. We have formed a committee. That committee's been working for months, looking at what elements should be considered in order to regulate vacation homes within the city limits of Rapid City. The open house is between 4:30 and 6. We invite you, if you are available, to join us. There's not a presentation, it's an interactive board and capturing comments. We anticipate that it will be well attended. People are truly emotional on both sides of the issue. So once we secure those comments, take it back to the committee, we'll come forward with a ordinance proposal. Planning Commission, that will be the first public hearing to discuss it. I assume that will be an interesting meeting.
I would guess so. So January 28th, 4:30 to 6 at the Dolphin Arts Center for that open house. All those interested, please attend.
Thank
You
you.
get a little preview. All right, anything else? All right, Mike made the motion to adjourn. Is there a second? Eric seconded. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
You gotta admit, we all kind of want to sit in Carter Garage with the